There exists near 100% literacy in Ukraine. 11 years of schooling are mandatory. As a rule, schooling begins at the age of 6, unless your birthday is on or after September 1 or on February 29. According to former chairman of the Verkhovna Rada, Volodymyr Litvin, the amount of budget financing for the sphere of education reached about 6% of Ukraine's GDP in November 2009. Ukrainian educational system. The Ukrainian educational system is organized into 5 levels: preschool, primary, secondary, higher and postgraduate education. In 2010, a total of 56% of children aged 1 to 6 years old had the opportunity to attend preschool education. The Education and Science Ministry of Ukraine reported in August 2010. Schools receive 50% of their funding from the city budget and 50% from the national government budget. The Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine intends to give general education schools the option to independently manage the financial resources assigned from the state budget starting from January 1, 2010. School level. Currently in Ukraine, school in its prime meaning is designated for children and teenagers who attended between ages 6 through 17. There are several types of institutions of general education. Some schools may be boarding schools and named school internat or lyceum internat, middle school of general education or middle school, lyceum, gymnasium. The system was first introduced in 1958 and included an 11-grade system, while in 1965 it was shortened to a 10-grade system. Most of the middle schools have all 3 levels of accreditation for the general education. Some remote schools may be of 2 levels, which is a minimum requirement for all the middle school. Primary and secondary education is divided into 3 levels of accreditation of general education. I, younger, 2, middle, and 3, senior. I level of accreditation comprises grades 1 to 4. Grades 5 to 9 are usually considered a 2-level of accreditation or a base secondary education, while 10 and 11 are a 3-level. Despite the names, students usually study in the same school institution throughout their primary and secondary education. Primary schooling lasts 4 years and middle school 5. There are then 2 profile years. The objective of general schooling is to give younger students knowledge of the arts and sciences, and teach them how to use it practically. The middle school curriculum includes classes in the Ukrainian language, Ukrainian literature, a foreign language, world literature, Ukrainian history, world history, geography, algebra, geometry, biology, chemistry, physics, physical education, music and art. At some schools, students also take environment and civics classes. Students attend each class only once or twice a week. However, part of the school day is also spent in activities such as chess, karate, putting on plays, learning folk tales and folk songs, choir and band. After school, students might also have music lessons, soccer, hockey, or tennis. In 2001, a 12-year education system replaced an older 11-year one, but in 2010 the 11-year one was restored, so that no pupil studied 12 years in secondary school. During grades 9-11, which is usually around the age of 15 and 17, students take various exams. The current examination system is undergoing change. At grades 9 and 11, students take IGTs, which allow 11th graders to enter university without taking separate entrance exams. In 2008, entrance exams were abolished and the IGTs became the standard for determining entrance eligibility. But in 2010 the system was changed again. In school year 2009-2010, potential graduates are scheduled to undergo external independent testing after the final state examination, in the following subjects: Ukrainian language and literature, history of Ukraine, mathematics, biology, physics, chemistry, geography, and 1 foreign language in either English, German, French, or Spanish. The results of the testing will have the same status as entrance examinations to institutions of higher education. but some universities can convert points in the external independent test certificate according to their own rating system. Homeschooling, educating children at home, is legal in Ukraine and expressly allowed for in Articles 59 and 60 of Ukraine's education law. International schools: Meridian International School, KYIV, KYIV International School, British International School, Ukraine. University-level higher education is either state-funded or private. Students who study at state expense receive a standard scholarship if their average marks at the end of term exams and differentiated test is at least 4. This rule may be different in some universities. In the case of all grades being the highest, the scholarship is increased by 25%. For most students, the level of government subsidy is not sufficient to cover their basic living expenses. Most universities provide subsidized housing for out-of-city students. Also, it is common for libraries to supply required books for all registered students. There are 2 degrees conferred by Ukrainian universities: the bachelor's degree and the master's degree. These degrees are introduced in accordance with Bologna process, in which Ukraine is taking part. Historically, specialist's degree is still also granted. It was the only degree awarded by universities in the Soviet times. Major universities: KYIV Medical University of UAFM, KYIV National Linguistic University, KYIV National Economic University, Crimea State Medical University, Chernovtsi University, Dnipropetrovsk National University, East Ukraine Volodymyr Dal National University, Donetsk National University, Kharkiv Polytechnic Institute, Kharkiv University, KYIV Polytechnic Institute, National Aviation University, Lugansk State Medical University, Lviv Polytechnic, Lviv University, the National Academy of Fine Arts and Architecture, National Mining University, National University of KYIV Mohyla Academy, Nizhyn Gogol State University, Odessa University, Odessa National Economics University, Ostro Academy, State University of Telecommunications, Taras Shevchenko National University of KYIV, Tavrida National VI, Vernadsky University, Ternopil National Economic University, Ukrainian Medical and Dental Academy, Zaporizhzhia National University, Kharkiv National University of Municipal Economy. Postgraduate level: upon obtaining a master's degree or specialist, a student may enter a university or a scientific institute to pursue postgraduate education. The first level of postgraduate education is aspirantura, that usually results in the candidate in a UK degree. Candidates must pass 3 qualifying exams, publish at least 3 scientific articles, write a dissertation and defend it. This degree is roughly equivalent to the PhD. In the United States, after graduation a student may continue postgraduate education. This takes from 2 to 4 years of study in doctorantura. Significant scientific results must be obtained and published, and a new thesis written. This produces a doctor in a UK degree. But the more typical way is working in a university or scientific institute with parallel preparation of a thesis. The average time between obtaining candidate and doctor degrees is roughly 10 years, and most of new doctors are 40 and more years old. Only 1 of 4 candidates reaches this grade. Candidate in the UK may keep the position associate professor in universities, or researcher, senior researcher in scientific institutes. Doctor in the UK can hold position of full professor, head of laboratory or an equal, higher positions. The Ukrainian Ministry of Education and Science is considering changing the Soviet-style candidate in the UK and doctor in the UK degrees to Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor Habilitation, as has happened in several other post-Soviet countries. Marks. Ukrainian universities use a traditional 5-point scale. 5 equals excellent, 4 equals good, 3 equals satisfactory. 2 equals unsatisfactory. 5, 4, 3 can be described as passed, 2 as fail. Students who get a failing grade of 2 have 2 more chances to pass an examination. Since 2006, university students are graded on a rating scale of 0 to 100. These grades can be transformed to the 5-point scale approximately as follows. From 90 to 100 means 5A. From 75 to 89 means 4B, C. From 60 to 74 means 3D. From 0 to 59 means 2E. Both the rating scale and the 5-point scale are used in university registers. Some lecturers prefer to use a F-point scale to rate students during their passing the exams. As for secondary schools, they also used the above-mentioned 5-point scale till 2000. Since 2000, secondary schools use a 12-point scale, which could be transformed into the traditional 5-point scale as follows. 12 equals 5 plus, 11 equals 5, 10 equals 5. 9 equals 4 plus, 8 equals 4, 7 equals 4, 6 equals 3 plus, 5 equals 3, 4 equals 3, 3 equals 2 plus, 2 equals 2, 1 equals 2. Here signs plus and denote respectively better and worse version of a mark. For example, 4 means somewhat worse than good. Languages used in educational establishments. In 2000-2001 academic year, 70% of students attended Ukrainian language schools, while 29% were studying in Russian language schools. There are schools with instruction in Romanian, Crimean Tatar, Hungarian, and Polish in regions populated by those groups. Historically, the language of instruction has often changed in Ukraine. When Ukraine was part of the Russian Empire, the Ukrainian language was prescribed, and Russian predominated among the elite, who had access to schools. The initial policies of the Bolsheviks were supportive of local languages, and many Ukrainian language schools were opened, with the long-term goal of getting rid of illiteracy. From the mid-1930s to the mid-1980s, the Soviet government policies favored Russification. In the 1970s and 1980s, the number of Russian language schools constantly increased at the expense of Ukrainian language schools. After Ukraine obtaining independence, the trend was reversed. However, reintroduction of formal Ukrainian language study has taken longer than expected. In some schools that have tried to switch to Ukrainian, part or most of the instruction is still given in Russian. In universities there are similar trends. In 1991-92 academic year, according to the Razumkov Center, 49% of high school students were receiving their education in Ukrainian, and 50% in Russian. Criticism. According to Francis Cairncross, Ukrainian education is too inward-looking, too corrupt and too poor to do a good job. According to Anders Aslan, the best parts of the Ukrainian education system are basic education in mathematics and science, but the quality of doctoral education is bad, particularly in management training, economics, law and languages. He also signaled that the greatest problem in the Ukrainian education system is corruption. In 2013, the education system received the third highest percentage among Ukrainians of having given a bribe to, with 33%.